Hey, it's James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and today I want to show you a really simple fingerstyle version of Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton. We're going to simplify the shapes and do a really simple finger picking pattern. So this is something that once you've become familiar with like a handful of chord shapes, you'll definitely be ready to tackle. Really quick before we get started, I have a free ebook. It's free for all my subscribers. It has chords, strumming patterns, song recommendations, how to learn songs, a little bit of theory, a little bit of everything. I'll put a link to that in the corner down below in the description. I also have some courses that we can talk about later on in this lesson. Anyways, let's just get started. The first part we're going to learn goes like this. And you may have noticed that I'm playing the chord shapes in a particular way. I'm playing a G chord, but I don't have to worry about my pinky being on the thinnest string, right? So I just have my middle finger on the thickest string, my index on the second fret of the A string, not even necessary, and then my ring finger on the third fret of the D string. I could even just use those two fingers because I'm finger picking, right? When we strum, you'd hear all those extra strings, but you're in control of which strings are ringing out due to the fact that we're finger picking. And then from this G chord, we're going to switch to D over F sharp, which goes like this. And I'm leaving my ring finger down. So from our G chord, I'm going to put my index finger on the second fret of the thickest string, skip a string, second fret of the G string. And the pattern's going to be the same. We'll go over that in a minute. That's our D chord. And then I'm going to switch to C. And for this one, I'm going to put my middle finger on the second fret of the A string and my index finger just under it my middle finger's on the third fret of the A string and my index is on the second fret of the D string. And this looks a lot like our G chord. It's pretty much the same thing, except our index and middle are one string lower. And from there, we switch back to D and then back to G. And that is our verse. You know, it's late in the evening. Now, as far as the pattern goes, it's really repetitive. It's pretty much the same thing on every chord. I have my G chord here. I'm going to put my thumb of my picking hand on the thickest string. Then I'm going to skip a string. My index goes on the D string. My middle finger goes on the G string. And my ring finger goes on the B string. And those fingers each get a string. You know, that string belongs to that finger. I'm going to go thumb, index, middle, index. Just do that a few times. 3 and 4 and focus on plucking gently. You know, you don't have to do like big ones. Just be gentle. And that's the first half. And now the second half, we start at our ring finger and we descend. Ring, middle, index, middle. So it's just like kind of upside down, you know, we're just going ring, middle, index, middle. And as far as like where to put your hand, when I was first starting, I would put the palm of my hand, like the base of my thumb, just above the strings. And I would do it that way. And this feels really weird for me now, but at the time that felt so secure because my hand was touching the guitar. You could even move it closer to the bridge, you know, and get like a good position that way. And that way you don't have to like stare at your hand the whole time. But eventually, as you get comfortable, you can float. So my arm is contacting the top of the guitar, just like when I'm strumming. I hold the guitar with my arm like that. And I can just pluck with my fingers and just kind of float. And I know where the strings are just because I've done it a lot. So I just want to give you the options. You can either anchor your hand or float your hand. I don't know why we use like naval terms, but that's what they say on guitar. Anyways, we have our G chord. We're just going to play our pattern. Thumb, index, middle, index, ring, middle, index, middle. And I recommend just doing it over and over again on a single chord before you move on, just to get used to the pattern. You know, you could even, when you have your practice session, you just start off by being like, I'm going to play this pattern 10 times on each of the chord shapes. You know, so you do it 10 times on G, then we switch to D over F sharp or D chord. Same pattern. You know, you do it a whole bunch there. For C, the pattern's a little bit different. Our fingers stay in the same place, but now our thumb has to go to the A string because that's, you know, our finger moved to that string. So same thing. You just do it a whole bunch. And once you're used to that, we can go through the progression in order. G, D, C, D. I'll write it up here and we can just give it a shot. 3 and 4 and... It's late in the evening. She's wondering what clothes to wear. She puts on her makeup and brushes her long blonde hair. And I would anticipate that some people may have trouble when you switch from D to C, because not only are you switching shapes, but you have to move your thumb as you adjust the pattern for the C chord. So I would recommend doing the pattern on D and then on C over and over again, just back and forth on those two shapes at your own pace, obviously. And that's the majority of the tune, that progression. But when we get to the chorus and, you know, he says the words "Wonderful Tonight," we do a little bit of a different thing. We're going to have a new chord, E minor, and we're leaving our ring finger down. We are going to switch G, D, and then E minor. So let's just take a look at that. We have our G going to D. We've already gone over that. And now when we go to E minor, I'm just going to take my index, move it down to the A string, take my middle finger and move it up. So it's actually a pretty cool switch. You know, we're just sucking our fingers into the middle. Gives us E minor. Now, as far as the pattern, we're changing it up. On the G chord, we're just going. So we're just ascending. Thumb, index, middle, ring. Then we do the same thing on D. And then we do our usual pattern on E minor. So that would happen for the like, do you feel alright? So I recommend, you know, isolating it, just practicing that one little bit. And then once you've done that a whole bunch, we can incorporate that into the chorus. The progression for the chorus starts off the same way as the verse. We do that a couple times. And then it's a little bit different. C, D, we do this cool thing, and then C, D, G. So let's actually just play through that part. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then she asks me, do you feel alright? And I say yes, I feel wonderful tonight. And there is one other part, the bridge, where it's like, I feel wonderful because I see the da-da-da-da-da. And for that part, it's similar to the chorus. You know, I feel wonderful because I see. Same line that we just played. And then here it just goes between C and D 2 times. Is you just don't realize how much I love you. So for this tune, you don't have to remember too many chord progressions. Let's actually play through a decent chunk of it just so you can see it all in context. You can try playing along with me, or you can just watch and see what happens and then rewind it and try it with me when you're ready. I'm going to set my metronome to keep us nice and steady. 84 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's late in the evening. She's wondering what clothes to wear. She puts on her makeup and brushes her long blonde hair. then she asks me, do I look alright? And I say yes, you look wonderful tonight. We go to a party, and everyone turns to see this beautiful lady that's walking around with me. And then she asks me, do you feel alright? And I say yes, I feel wonderful tonight. I feel wonderful because I see full of light in your eyes, and the wonder of it all is that you just don't realize how much I love you. It's time to go home now, and I've got an aching head, so I give her the car keys. She helps me to bed, and then I tell her, do I turn, or as I turn off the light, I say, my darling, you were wonderful tonight. Oh, my darling, you were wonderful tonight. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you need any extra help, I have my free ebook, but more specifically to fingerstyle, I have a course, Fingerstyle Beginner to Advanced, which is very self-explanatory. You know, we start off with stuff even simpler than this. So if you're having trouble with this, there's some things that'll warm you up into this, some really repetitive fingerstyle songs and exercises that, you know, you can just really work out that muscle memory. And the whole point is that you're learning songs the entire time. You know, I'll show you a thing and then we'll apply it to a real song. Show you a different thing, different song, and kind of just climbing up, you know, because that's one of the things that I see with a lot of that I know personally teaching on YouTube. I can't really organize my lessons that way. Like if I make a fingerstyle lesson where I teach a technique and then the next lesson I release is a fingerstyle song that uses it, if you subscribe to the channel and you follow along, you'll see those when they get released. But a few months down the road, YouTube might serve you those lessons in a different order, or might serve you something else altogether, you know. Whereas in my courses, it's my curriculum, exactly how I intend for you to learn it in a way that I know works. So if you want to learn fingerstyle with me, that is an option. I'll put a link in the corner and down below in the description. Otherwise, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the bell icon, leave a comment. You can even just say hi. That really helps me out here on YouTube, and it'll help me deliver more content to people like you for free here on YouTube. Otherwise, have a fun time practicing, and I'll see you soon.